Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be predicting the prices of all 17 alternate art cards in Evolving Skies. That includes Rayquaza V, Rayquaza VMAX, and a good portion of the alternate art Eevee-lutions from Eevee Heroes. We're about 2 weeks away from the official release date of Evolving Skies, and it's looking like it's going to be the best set from the Sword and Shield era. Alternate art Rayquaza VMAX is a heavy hitter of the set, and it's a card that everyone is going to be chasing after. It's also looking like it's going to become the most expensive raw card that we've ever seen from a mainline set. Before we dive into Evolving Skies prices, let's recap the prices of the chase cards from Chilling Reign. Alternate art Glaceon VMAX in English debuted around $200, while its Japanese counterpart debuted around $150. This gives us a 1.3 English to Japanese price ratio. And this ratio used to be much higher for early Sword and Shield sets, but Japanese cards have been rising in value for both modern and vintage. Modern Japanese cards have the nice perk of debuting before their English counterparts, so lots of eager collectors are willing to spend a good amount of money up front to pick up the first copies of these new alternate art cards, even if they are in Japanese. Alternate art Moltres V also hits similar numbers to Glaceon VMAX, selling around $200 and $150 in English and Japanese respectively. However, interestingly enough, the English and Japanese versions of Shadow Rider Calyrex VMAX were both going for around $200 around their respective release dates. So let's assume that for Evolving Skies, the English versions of these cards will be about 1 to 1.5 times more expensive than their Japanese versions. This will be important to remember as we take a look at the prices of the Japanese versions of the alternate arts from Evolving Skies. Let's start off by taking a look at Rayquaza V. This card consistently sold for around $400 when it debuted in Japan, and that's a pretty hefty price for a good looking Rayquaza card. However, the prices for alternate art Rayquaza VMAX are quite unbelievable at first glance. We're talking close to $1,000 for a raw card. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe this gives Rayquaza VMAX the highest price tag we've ever seen for a raw set card at release. Since English tends to be more expensive than Japanese, does that mean Rayquaza VMAX in English will hit numbers over $1,000? It's quite possible. A Becca graded 10 Japanese Rayquaza VMAX also sold for over $4,000, and a PSA 10 sold for over $2,000. Expect the English versions of these cards to hit well over these numbers as well. Now let's take a look at the Eevee-lutions. Starting off, we have alternate art Espeon V fetching prices around $130 at its release. You'll see that most of the alternate art Eevee-lution Vs go for similar prices. Unfortunately, alternate art Espeon VMAX will not be in Evolving Skies. Moving on, let's take a look at alternate art Leafeon V, which also maxed out at around $130. Leafeon VMAX, however, is going to be in Evolving Skies, and we see that this card hit highs of around $350. Glaceon V maxed out at around $130 as well, and the VMAX actually hit highs of around $400. This makes it pricier than Leafeon, which makes sense since it's a more popular Eevee-lution. As we continue down the popularity line, we see Sylveon V hitting highs of around $170 and its alternate art VMAX hitting highs of around $750. However, the most popular Eevee-lution in Evolving Skies is Umbreon. Alternate art Umbreon V debuted at prices close to $200, while Umbreon VMAX hit prices well over $800. I'm not too sure if the English alternate art Eevee-lutions will reach the same prices of their Japanese counterparts though. This is because Eevee Heroes was very scarce in Japan at its initial release, and we know for certain that Evolving Skies is going to be more readily available than Eevee Heroes was at release. Here are some other important numbers to note. Leafeon VMAX and a PSA 10 hit prices of $775 in several listings. Glaceon V and a PSA 10 sold for $510. Sylveon VMAX sold for around $1,300 in a PSA 10. Umbreon V sold for $630 in PSA 10, and Umbreon VMAX and PSA 10 sold for around $3,000. Now let's take a look at some of the other alternate art cards. We got Noivern V with that comic book style illustration going for around $50 to $60 when it debuted in Japan. And then we got Golurk V going for around $30 to $40. And then we got Medicham V. I definitely have a soft spot for Gen 3 Pokemon, so I actually really like this card. And this card went for around $40 to $50 when it debuted. And then we see alternate art Dragonite V hitting that price tag of well over $100 on several occasions. So definitely expect alternate art Dragonite V from Evolving Skies to be worth well over $100 at its release. I'm not gonna lie, this card definitely surprised me. Duraludon V, the alternate art, hit well over $100. It sold for more money than the Dragonite V, which is very surprising because Duraludon is definitely not as popular as Dragonite V. But come on, this artwork's pretty sick, and maybe that's why it sold for so much money, because it has that trainer in there with the Duraludon. Definitely a really cool card, and yeah, it's even got that Rotom phone. It's eating a big plate of food. Definitely a really cool card. And also surprisingly, we see Duraludon VMAX alternate art going for well over $150. It hit $230. I'm not entirely sure if the buyer ended up paying for that, but this is a pretty crazy price for Duraludon VMAX. I know it's an alternate art, but if you look at the art, it's not that alternate. It's not that alt. Look, I mean, it just doesn't look as cool as some of the other alternate arts that we are getting in Evolving Skies. It's a VMAX nonetheless, so it's definitely really rare, but I'm surprised that it was hitting numbers like $177. And that does it for all of the alternate arts, but let's take a look at one last card that's going to be in Evolving Skies that's actually fetching a pretty high premium. And that's Zinnia's Resolve, the full art trainer, the waifu card, the waifu chase card in Evolving Skies. In Japan, it hit $178 on several occasions, $177. I mean, this card is really fetching a high price. Definitely a really expensive waifu card. I'm not sure if it's going to hit the same price in English, but yeah, definitely a card that everyone is going to be chasing after if they are a waifu collector. Alright, just to recap, the Rayquaza V and the Rayquaza VMAX are going to hit some pretty record-breaking prices. Rayquaza V is probably going to hit around $400 at release, and Rayquaza VMAX will probably hit around that $1,000 price point for the first few copies that hit the market. As far as the Eevee-lutions go, that's going to be a little bit harder to tell whether the prices are going to be the same as the Japanese versions, just because Eevee Heroes was definitely a little bit more scarce. You had to enter a lottery to get the booster packs for Eevee Heroes. So it's kind of hard to tell whether or not the English versions are going to match the exact price points of the Japanese counterparts, but expect all of the Eevee-lutions, the alternate arts, to reach over $100, and expect the Eevee-lution VMAXs to hit probably $500, maybe even more than that. And I think that definitely some of them can match the Japanese price points. Like the Umbreon, I could see that hitting $800. It's possible, you know, it's definitely very possible. But let me know what you think. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want more of these videos. And yeah, I'm back. I'm going to keep trying to crank out some more of these videos. I just moved, was on vacation for a while, but now I'm back and I'm ready to make more videos for y'all. So subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.